Podcasting from our studios in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, through the internet to your computer, you're listening to Radio Nation. My name is Andrew Phillips, and I'm joined live in studio with Nick Pescod, and from Brampton, Ontario, Hometown Revenge.
How's it going, buddy?
Hometown Revenge, welcome to the show tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, and we do apologize for the bit of a delay in terms of the time that you're supposed to be originally on, but the fact that it isn't broadcasting live, so we do apologize for that.
No worries.
All right, my friend, so you're also a theater major as well as an acoustic pop singer.
Yes.
Music was your first passion, and theater something you transitioned to, and then you sort of went back and got into music. So I guess sort of give me a little timeline here as to what happened. You grew up big music guy, fell in love with theater, and then went back to music. So how did that happen?
Well, throughout high school, I was in a band, a screamo band, of course, and we were doing okay. We were playing shows all over Toronto, and then we had a pretty rough breakup. So after that, I didn't want to stop doing music, so I was looking for bands, of course, but then unfortunately nothing was coming my way, so I thought, why not just, music's always been my family, so I thought, why not just start playing? So I did, and then I fell in love with drama when I was in high school, and so I played music and I did drama, and I kind of just went not so much back to music. I'm still majorly into theater, of course, studying at school, and I'm acting, but I thought, why not take my music serious now and start trying to get it out there to people. So
Just to be clear, are we talking like you were big on like high school, like cafeteria, like Jenny said to Ken, who said to whatever, high school drama, or are we talking like drama like the course?
Sorry, I was talking about like drama the course.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Some people are into high school drama, and more power to you if that's how you got into it.
Well, I was always in the circle of drama,
okay.
but
Fair enough.
yeah.
I think everybody was.
Did you cause the drama, or were you just
No, I just got to watch
witness?
it.
Yeah,
A
Just
witness.
dragged
that's always the
in
best.
Exactly.
You're just on the outside, like, ooh, this fight's gonna rock.
So I guess then talk about now, your music now. You draw your influences from Owl City, Dallas Green, those types of people. What was, I guess, your biggest band growing up? What's been your biggest influence?
Tough one. I've had a lot, and it's always changed. Dallas Green would probably be acoustically my biggest influence, mainly just because of how pure his music is. He doesn't have the big production. Everything is just recorded live in a room, and it's wonderful to listen to. But I have to say that, like, musically, just in general, would be Owl City, and it's just how he takes such negative energy, such as his insomnia, and just turns into like this beautiful music, and it's really nice to listen to and cheers you up. So,
As a musician, what has been some of your biggest challenges? Like we just mentioned, you're sort of getting really back into the music thing and then starting to pursue it very, very heavily and seriously. So what's been a big challenge so far early on in, although it's not early on in per se your overall music career, in this part of your music career?
I think it's just finding an audience. Like I said, social media such as Facebook and Twitter makes it a lot, and YouTube, like, so much easier to like get your stuff out there. But it's one thing to get it out there, but then to find somebody to actually listen to it, and for one thing to listen to it, and two, to care and actually like do something with it. So it's hard.
Well, let's stick with that for a second. Being a musician from, well, let's just say from the GTA, one of arguably the largest music centers in North America, how do you get in contact with not just fans, but with people in the industry to saying, hey, listen to my stuff, maybe we should do something? What do you do as an individual, as a musician, to get out there?
It started off literally just like old-fashioned way. It was just you'd Google people, or you'd find people on MySpace, and then you just send them a message, or you'd email them and just try your best to hook up with them somewhere. You'd go to a show, and you'd run into a band who was semi-big, and then you talk to them, and then what happened was Young Inspirations, which is where I got my start.
Okay.
Awesome blog run by Jessica Paeva. She started this kind of community of indie musicians around the GTA, and now it's starting to grow to even all over Canada. And she kind of just brought them all together and said, like, you guys are all here for the same purpose, so instead of fighting against each other, why not work together? And so it was really cool because, we got to play this huge show in January this past, and there was people there from The Next Star, which is a YTV singing show. And not a big deal, but it's just like the amount of people that it brought from the GTA, and it kind of just got you a little bit noticed, and then we started to network with other musicians, and then collaborations started, and it was just nice to be able to just to kind of have that.
Now, obviously, Young Inspirations that's something that a blogger started to create a community. But what do you do as a musician? Is there any way that you yourself what do you do as a musician rather to network with other musicians, other people on the industry? Is that something that you would do? Is try to start a
community or
on your own, or would you look for other communities that are doing that sort of thing?
So far, I've only really looked out for other communities. Haven't really started my own, but
Right.
I mean, maybe in the future sometime. I mean, it's kind of hard to do that when you really have nobody interested in you right at the time, and I mean, you only have like a few like solid people who actually take your music seriously. So I mean, now it's just networking with other communities, but of course when you get that and you start to build your own, then you can start to kind of.
Speaking of fans, we talked about it off air. You have a Chicago fan who you told me off air she drove all the way from Chicago to see your music, to meet you. Tell me that whole talk about that whole story. Tell people out there, I think that's absolutely one of the coolest things.
It's crazy actually. So how she found out about my music is even more crazy. Alex Goot, who is a pretty big YouTube celebrity, is friends with my friend Danny, who I knew from camp, and he brought Alex, and then Alex and Dan, I got to meet like Alex, of course, which was awesome, and then Danny, of course, had this fan, Kiernan, and she started talking to Danny, and then Danny introduced her to my music, and just it kind of all got networked until she started following me on MySpace and Twitter, and then she just became literally like the coolest person ever because she was just, it wasn't even like, you get some who are kind of creepy, but she was really nice and really caring and actually took my music seriously and
genuine,
yeah. And it was just really nice to have that. So then she told me that she really wanted to meet me, and I mean, you can't say no to that. Somebody who's put so much effort into your music.
And how old is she again?
I think she's 14 or 15.
Okay.
And somebody who's put that much effort into your music, you can't say no to.
Of course not. Absolutely.
So she came all the way to Toronto to meet me at York, and I mean, I hung out with her for a few hours, her and her sister and her brother, and it was just nice to be able to meet somebody who actually like cares about what you care about.
And what was that feeling like when you first met?
At first, it was kind of like, I can't believe you drove 8 hours to come and meet me. But then after, it was just really exciting. It was like kind of like that 15 minutes of fame that you always look for, and just kind of meeting somebody who like actually thrives off of what you write.
Did you sign any autographs?
I did. I signed a T-shirt, a Hometown Revenge T-shirt that she has.
And you told me off air, too, that you don't even have any merchandise. So.
I don't. She makes her own Hometown Revenge merchandise, which is awesome.
Have you ever thought of asking her if she makes it herself? Have you ever thought about, hey, you know, it's a good way to market myself? Have you ever thought about asking her to mass produce these T-shirts?
I actually, funny enough, I did like last week when she sent me a hoodie design that she did. And I was just like, we should talk about merch. Like,
that's very, very cool. Now, in the 15 minutes that you guys were together, I know I'm kind of driving home this, but I think it's really, really cool. What did you guys do? Like, what did you guys talk about? You just sort of talk about like normal people, I guess? I mean,
it was, at first, it was kind of like, you know, like fangirl, ooh, and then, and then after that, she kind of just, I took him around York, gave him a tour of my school, you know, where I
Very
go.
cool.
And then we started, actually, most of our time was spent just talking about the differences between Americans and Canadians, because they had a lot of questions, and the way that we talk, apparently it's much different.
It is.
I never noticed it really until they started pronouncing words like hockey as hacky and soccer.
Yep. And then you'll probably be able to pick out somebody from Chicago, Illinois now.
Yep.
Like, know tomorrow.
As soon as they talk, I'll be like, I know where you're from.
Yep. Yep. Now, what was it? Did she come with her parents?
No, actually, her sister and her brother.
And did they have? I'm not taking. I mean, were they in Toronto? Did you tell them to go see other things? Did you tell them to take in the Toronto experience?
I did, and they really wanted to. The only issue was that I actually worked that day, and I couldn't get out of it, so they had to come a little bit later. And they were going back. They were staying in Buffalo, so they actually came to Toronto, hung out with me for, I think we were together for about 2 hours, and then went back to Buffalo. So unfortunately, they didn't have a chance to really check out the Toronto scenery, but I told them that, I mean, they're more than welcome to come back whenever, and I'll take them around Toronto if they wanted. And
absolutely, of course, and probably have a reason to come back when you start doing some more live shows and that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess transitioning from that, how does that experience really, how do you, I guess, use that to push your presence on social media? Like, did you learn anything from that where you're like, wow, I really networked with one person. Could she help me get other followers? Do you know what I mean, where I'm going with this?
Mm-hmm. She actually has, to be honest. She has done a lot of promoting for me just without even me asking. I've just noticed, like, I'll log onto Twitter or Facebook and I'll have, like, people who are following me and tweeting me, and I kind of, of course, you, like, kind of go see who is this person, and then you find out, like, oh, they're from here, and they know that, like, them, and then you kind of realize how she's been, like, networking for me, and it kind of has helped. I mean, I do my best to be, like, I have no choice because of but I try my best to be nice to everybody who listens to my music and even takes the time to listen to one of my tracks, because, especially at this point, whoever is willing to listen, I'm willing to show, and I'm not picky, and I'm not, I'm not going to try to, like, I'm not going to be, because I'm not a superstar, and
of course
I want to be, but, even when if I ever got that opportunity, I would love to just, like, I would still be the same person I am today right here. So
I guess then talk to me a bit about how your writing style goes, and how you get your inspirations for writing, and where that comes from, and I guess really what when do you find yourself writing the most?
Actually, that's funny, because I did just write a new song today, which you guys can probably check out on my MySpace very soon. But my writing comes from literally everywhere, and I'll have songs that are about people, and then I'll have songs that you would think were about people, and they're about nothing. And it could come from a movie. It could, for example, I have a song, two songs. One's about Gladiator, the movie, and one's about Spartacus. Not so much the show itself, but about, like, Spartacus, the actual historical, like, character. Mm-hmm. So it's just whatever my biggest thing is actually catchiness. If I can't walk around my house singing my own songs, I'm not going to write it. Like, I'm very picky on, it has to be catchy, and it has to be preferably upbeat. I do have a few slowed down tracks, but I really prefer, like, upbeat, catchy, bob your head tunes, and that's just kind of where my writing comes from. A lot of people I know will have to write a song over time, and I cannot sit down, start a song, and leave it. If I sit down and start a song and leave it, I won't finish it. I have to sit down wherever I am and finish it. And
so then, does that happen to you in a moment where perhaps maybe you shouldn't be writing a song, like you're at work or you're driving in your car, you're stuck on the 401, you're in the shower? Does that happen?
No, you're in your girlfriend's house at 2 a.m. and she's trying to sleep. Yeah, that's actually, I've actually been at work, and I work at a grocery store, and I'll be filling stuff, and I kind of get this beat in my head, and I'll start singing to it and coming up with lyrics. And I've actually written songs either on my iPod, like on, like, the notepad, or actually on cardboard boxes. I'll cut a piece of cardboard off and start writing, and I just kind of fold it up, put it in my wallet, and go home, and then try to remember the melody that I had to it. And
now, has that ever been something that's been worked into a song that's been an inspiration? I'm stocking stuff on aisle 3. And just go home and write about that, or?
Not so much. I don't really think I've ever actually been inspired by what I'm doing, but
because that's a song I would listen to.
Oh,
that's like every day. That's Rush's Working Man, but like done in 2012. You know what I mean?
Well, for you, I'll go home and write one.
Excellent.
There you go.
That's Working Man for someone working minimum wage. I like it.
Exactly. No, not really much about what I'm doing. More just kind of what I'm thinking. I think about the most. I'm also a writer. I write. I'm working on my second novel right now. So I'll be sitting there and I'll be thinking of ideas for that, and then for some reason this, like, beat will come in my head, and I'll start kind of bobbing to it, and then just lyrics start coming to me, and then I start writing them down. 99% of the time, those lyrics will never be like heard or finished. And if you go on my laptop, like, there's probably over 250 songs I've started or written, and only like 1/8 of those will actually be, like, heard or even put forth. So.
Is it something that you plan to finish the other ones, or is it just something they're just ideas there, and if you ever decide to go back on it, you might work on it? Or
it's kind of like that. Like, there's some songs where I'll write them, and I get to a point where I don't want to force it either, right? So if I get to a point where I do my best to finish it, and if I can't, and I just know I can't, I'll stop, and I'll always go back and play what I've written. And there's actually times where songs they're very short, and they're kind of like, they feel unfinished to, like, people who listen. And it's just because I've got to the point where I'm like, I don't want to force it, and I'm really happy with what I have, and this is where it's going to end. And it kind of just, that's where I draw the line.
Is there always a time where you're in the middle of writing and something comes up and you don't want to leave? Like you mentioned, you might be somewhere else, or does that happen too? And I guess how do you counteract that problem? I mean, do you just type it in your iPod and pray that when you come back you remember what you're doing?
It happens a lot, actually. I'll go downstairs for like 5 minutes and I'll pull up my guitar, and then I have this idea, and then I'm like, oh, I gotta go to work now. So what I'll do is I'll actually voice record it on my phone, or like the guitar, or on like my iPod, and then when I'm at work, I'll listen to it while I'm working.
That's very cool.
And
Smart.
I'll just kind of like have the melody, and that way I don't forget the melody, and I can kind of just write down some fun little lyrics there. And on a side note, I hope my boss doesn't hear that, because he'll kill me for listening to my iPod at work. But
Now, you mentioned that you're in school for theater, and you're a novelist as well. How do those two things, do they at all even relate to your music? Do they help your music career? Do you find similarities between the two things? I guess talk about that. Do you find anything like that, I guess?
I would say it does help, and it does kind of like relate, just because being around so many artsy people, you're just inspired to do everything. Like you feel like you could fly, literally. Like you're with these people who, like, I have friends who've started theater companies like in their first year of university, and like now they're thriving with like a pretty big name director directing their last show, and it was just crazy just to like. So I mean, it does relate, just because every time I'm at school and I'm around these people, I'm inspired. And if you don't mind me saying, I actually wrote a play last year that I also directed at York.
Very cool.
And it was inspired by a conversation between me and another buddy I was at school with about somebody who we were looking at outside of a window. And it just turned into a play, which then got directed and put on, and people enjoyed. And I really want to actually turn to a film now. I'm looking for somebody to shoot it.
Very cool.
And so, I mean, I am inspired to write all of my genres, I guess, while I'm like being in theater. So I guess I do kind of relate in the sense of like everything that I'm studying kind of just comes together, and I take from here, take from there, and I kind of just...
Going forward then, I guess, this is probably actually going to sound a really different question, but have you ever thought, like with your music and with your theater career and using a film, have you ever thought about incorporating your own music into like anything that you do sort of theatrically and film-wise? Is that something that's ever crossed your mind?
I've thought about writing my own musical to my own music, and it's one of those things where I don't feel like I'm at that... I'll use the word talent, but I just don't feel like I'm at that level yet where I can do that. But that being said, I'm actually I'm working on, and this is really bad because I probably should get the rights before I do it, but I'm actually working on a Panic at the Disco musical.
Very
that,
cool.
I'm writing, and I obviously will have to get the rights before I do anything with it. But I figured, you know what, I have the ideas now, write it, and then always have it to the side there, and then you can always work. You can always work at getting it rights to it.
Yeah, later.
But I mean, at least get it down on paper first before you kind of reach out for that kind of stuff. So
very, very interesting. We're going to take a quick break here on Radio Nation and play some more great music here on the show. So what do we got coming up, Andrew? Stuff. So you're listening to Radio Nation. I'm your host, Nicholas Pescod, with Andrew Phillips and Hometown Revenge.
Take me so far away. the end of the world, like the says it. So just move to the beat. We have to dance like we have nowhere to go. But also get down on this elevator dance floor. On this elevator dance floor. Five, four, three, two, one, and the countdown has begun, and the world's about to end, so we might as well dance. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and the countdown has begun, and the world's about to end, so we might as well dance. We have to dance like it's the end of the world, like the sunset. So just move to the beat. We have to dance like we have nowhere to go, but also get down on this elevator dance floor. On this elevator dance floor. On this elevator dance floor.
And we're back. That was Beautiful by Alabama Capital, and we are here with Hometown Revenge from Brampton, Ontario.
All right, my friend, welcome back.
Thanks.
So we're going to talk a little bit about your music video stuff and some production and that sort of thing. So you have a song called The Story of Tobias and Lily.
TSTL yet?
Talk to me about this song and what went into it.
All right, so last summer I started writing this really catchy chorus, and well, actually it ended up being the verse, but it was going to be a chorus, and I never worked on it again, and I put it away. Like I said a little bit earlier, that I kind of just wrote stuff and put it. But this one I kind of went back to because I really liked it, and I just couldn't think of anything to write with it. So then I started writing, an idea came to me, and I couldn't think of a name. And my girlfriend had just gotten a dog, and we named him Toby,
Okay.
or Tobias, as I like to call him. And I just couldn't think of this name, and I just couldn't think of for a character for my song. And I kind of just said, and I always told her, I said, we should get a female dog and name it Lily. And this is before the song kind of came out.
Okay.
And I said, you know, they could be like boyfriend and girlfriend. And then it kind of was just like the story of Tobias and Lily, and it kind of just stuck. So then I started writing this song, and it just about, it's influenced by me and my girlfriend, but I mean, like the lyrics wise, not like the story itself is kind of just like that corny girl next door story, you know. But like the actual like emotion I went into the song was about my girlfriend, so it was kind of heartfelt in that sense. And I just I wrote it, and it just was one of those things where I thought it was just gonna be another one of my songs. And then while playing it, I kind of showed it to my friend Chris, who's from Austria. I go to school with him, and he's actually in a huge band called No More Encore over there, and they're some awesome dudes, so make sure you guys check them out.
We definitely will.
And so he loved it, and he was like, you have to record that song with me. And I said, yeah, of course. So he brought me to his house, and he kind of like set up all his stuff, and we spent 4 weeks recording The Story of Tobias and Lily, one song. And I mean, when you guys hear a little bit later on, that's gonna like that's just it just goes to show you how much work went into this track and to make it perfect. And I've worked with a lot of other producers who were awesome, and it was just the thing about Chris I loved was that I've never seen somebody put so much time. And I sat on his bed for about 2 hours, and he would sit on the floor with a piece of paper, and he said, play the song, and I'd play it, and he'd be tapping his pen, and he'd writing notes, and he's writing like lines and just weird things I've never seen before, and he goes, do it again. And for 2 hours, like my fingers were like bleeding. Like he just said, play the song, play it. And he marked down every little note I could ever imagine, like just about how I play it, my strumming patterns, like how much bass, like how many bass notes I like. Just it was just really weird. I've never seen somebody put so much effort into. Usually when I go to record, they're like, all right, yeah, sit down, all right, set it up, all right, record, and here you go. But he actually took this song and like cared about it, and it was just really cool to have somebody put so much effort into something that I cared about. and it was just really nice. And I mean, it really goes to show in the final product. So
Now, you mentioned there's going to be a music video for it as well. I guess talk a bit about that, and I guess what stage the music video is at in sort of production.
yeah, I started talking about it a couple months ago, and I really wanted to shoot it, and I was kind of shifting through different directors. And back in the day when I lived in Barrie, I ended up living with this guy, Jesse Marshall, and his family for a little bit, and they were awesome. And I came across on YouTube this show called Buddies, and I was like, this is kind of cool and really well shot. And then I found out it was his show, and I was like, did you write this? And he's 15, by the way.
Okay.
And I swear to God, he's going to be a prodigy one day, because he's just, I mean, he's 15, and the stuff that he's done already is just, like, remarkable. And so I messaged him, and I was like, hey, like, I'm looking to do a music video. Would you be down? And he was like, yeah, like, I like your track. And so we, like, organized a day, and a couple of my buddies, Cody Rowland, he's pretty good, too. He's a musician as well, so check him out. And my buddy Tupac that I work with, they were like, well, like, we'll come, and I just needed people. So they came, and we started shooting it, and we got about 99% of the video down. We're only missing Chris's parts, like mine and Chris's parts. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, he was in Austria visiting family over the summer, so we're actually shooting those next week.
Are you allowed to tell me, like, where you shot it, and then sort of, I guess, like, what one could expect to see in it, or is that sort of a secretive thing?
Oh, no, there's actually a teaser trailer out that you guys can check out. I've been tweeting it all over. It's all over YouTube. And we shot it at York, and we actually shot it all within about 100-meter radius of my girlfriend's house.
Oh, cool.
And it was a really nice landscape, and the houses at York are very, I call them European, like, so it's kind of like a nice little, and it's just, I didn't want to be too generic where you literally follow the lyrics like word for word and make a video that's word for word to the lyrics. But I mean, it does pretty much follow the story of this guy who sees this girl across the street, and he falls in love with her, and they kind of just, like, it's kind of the idea that this guy and this girl, they meet each other, but they've never actually spoken. They've just seen each other, and they both have feelings for each other, but they won't tell each other.
Okay.
And then they kind of come together, and they're like, hey, I like you. And she's like, oh, really? I like you too. And it's like, oh, want a date? And she's like, okay. And then they kind of,
everybody's dream.
Exactly. And then what happened was I was writing it I wrote it, and it was done. And then when I was recording with Chris, I mean, he put so much work into it. We wrote this little bridge together, he wrote the guitar part. And then I was like, you know what? I was like, you've done so much work for this. I was like, you deserve more than just, production credits. It's like, I want you to write something. So he wrote the guitar, he did all the vocals in that part, he wrote all the lyrics, and I mean, it's awesome because it sounds great, but I mean, I felt he deserved a lot more than just, the production recognitions. I said, you deserve to actually have a part of this. Like, you put so much effort into it, this is your song too. And so I would never really call The Story of Tobias and Lily my song. It's our song because of how much work we both put into it.
What was it like working with him then, in terms of, I guess, doing the acting and that sort of thing? Because I guess that must have been almost second nature for you, having, being in theater.
Yeah, he was awesome to work with. Oh, like the video, you mean?
Yeah, for the video, sorry.
I thought you meant recording with him. It was a lot of fun. I've never actually done anything film. All of my acting's been theater so far. That's going to change soon. And it was just a lot of fun. I mean, the thing is, I had a vision in my head of what I wanted. So Jesse did direct it, but I mean, I kind of would call myself sort of an assistant director, because I really said, like, I really want this shot like this. I really want it. And we kind of we'd look at it and see how it would go. And I mean, it was a lot of fun. I mean, he had a lot of equipment. So, like, he had, like, his reflectors and his lights, and it was just cool to kind of be able to kind of have, like, a makeshift movie set, I guess, and just do it.
And he came down from Barrie to help you out?
Yep, he
That's
came
cool.
over from Barrie, and we worked. It was an 11-hour shoot.
Wow.
Started at 9 in the morning, and we didn't finish, or 10 in the morning, so we didn't finish until about 8:30 at night.
Now, when you're shooting a music video, like something like that, close to your girlfriend's place, I'm assuming there's people walking by and that sort of thing, and I guess, I have no idea, would you need permission from York University to shoot, or was it one of those things?
Thank God, no. We did it all in the village, which is actually, I would say, I guess, public property. It's just a suburb.
Okay.
And, but like you said, people walking by, it's... We were shooting this one scene. It's part of the intro. It's inside of a car, and it's a conversation that's going on. And, I'm holding this big reflector up because I wasn't in the scene, actually. It was Cody and Tupac talking. Okay. So I'm holding the big reflector, and Jesse's got the camera set up, and this girl's walking by, and she just stopped dead in her tracks, and she's, like, staring into, like, the car, like, looking at and Tupac. I mean, they're not actors. They're just guy. So like Tupac's doing his best not to like laugh, but this girl's standing in front of his car just staring in, trying to get a peek of what they're doing. And I'm kind of like trying to look at her like, can you go? And it was kind of funny just because people were like, what's this? And like you kind of got like not really a crowd, but you have like one or two people who would like kind of stop and look and
go out of their way.
And it was just kind of cool because like we had one guy come up and talk to us, and he's like, oh, you guys are doing a music video. Like, you know, I got people who are looking to get them done. So, you know, like, let me link you up. So I was like, Jesse, like,
yeah,
you know, like network him out. Like he's really talented. So.
And he said he's only 15.
Only 15.
That's insane. So
I didn't even know how. Like when I haven't spoken to him in years, and then when I was talking to him, I thought he was older, and then he told me, and I was like, "You're only 15." I was like, "This is crazy." And
so you lived with him. You lived with him way before you.
I lived with him when I was in grade 9, which means he would have been like 8. But I don't like when my memories of him are him like he's older, so he must have always had like that older persona.
Okay.
Like there's just those people who
they
like,
they look older.
They're like 19, but they act like they're 30, and like he was just kind of like he must have been 8, and it was just crazy because I don't remember, you know, him being an 8-year-old. But and then he's 15, and I mean he's actually shooting a Hunger Games remake right now.
Very cool.
And so he's super talented. So I mean, check out his stuff too. I mean, all over YouTube, Jesse Marshall. So
speaking of YouTube and Twitter links and all that sort of stuff, how do people that are listening to this interview right now, how do they get a hold of you?
If you just go on YouTube, my channel right now is Atreyux Fan, ATREYUXFAN. Nothing to do with my music. It was kind of my personal page, which I never used YouTube, so then I kind of turned it into my music page, but you can't change your channel handle, so had to live with it. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/hometownrevenge, twitter.com/hometownrevenge, and also at myspace.com/hometownrevengemusic.
Sounds good. Now we're going to do the second part of the interview, which is always a lot of fun, and Andrew's come up with a great name with it called the speed round, so we like to do that. So this is the part where we ask you, or if Andrew, you want to introduce it?
I suppose I could.
So he does a better job of introducing this than I always do.
Do I have to do like straight up like the answer like I always do, or do you
yeah, absolutely, man. You're good at that.
Who's our sponsor this week?
I don't know. Definitely not Todd Aiken though.
Okay. All right. Well, you got to make something up. Speed round's always brought to us by somebody.
Halton region. It's the pen I have.
Sure. That's right, folks. It's time for the speed round, brought to you this week by the Halton Region. Visit Halton Region when you're just driving through that area. Stop in and just say, "Hi, Halton Region."
www.haltonregion.ca.
That's crazy.
All right, so in this round,
for those of you who don't know, the speed round is basically where we throw a bunch of random questions at our guest this week, which is Hometown Revenge. We just see what kind of happens, and the fastest response will get you a point. Person with the first person up to 47 points wins. This is the speed round. Yeah.
And we usually lose track of points, about like 3 questions.
Yeah, and it's called the speed round, but it legitimately takes 15 minutes to do like 10 questions. Like, it's so bad.
So am I playing against myself?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So the first question I'm going to ask
Unless you want to play against Nick.
Sure.
Cool.
All right.
Nick, you know most of the questions.
You better, yeah.
I'll just switch up the order so it screws with you.
Okay.
What was the color of your first car?
Silver.
Don't have a car. Never did.
Sorry.
You could just say the colors of the TTC bus or something. Or Brampton train.
It's just okay. Let's do this again. I wasn't ready yet.
That's going to be a point.
You can just make it up. It doesn't even.
I will.
We won't count that as a point for Nick. That's also how the speed run works: is that Nick gets no points.
Yeah.
So even if he answers first,
and then I ask questions anyway.
Did you ever watch Space Jam as a kid?
I did.
Okay, well he's Michael Jordan. You play against Michael Jordan, and he loses for the rest of eternity.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right.
I wish it was as good as Michael Jordan in basketball.
What was the name of your first pet?
Toby.
Was it really?
No.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Oh, see, I asked you
if you want to know, with Sasha, but
cool.
Okay. You can just make it up. Mine was Bunk. Well, it wasn't really mine. It was my parents, but it was Bunky.
And mine was my parents too, but I wasn't even born yet.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
The two of you are playing against each other. What is the color of the other person's shirt?
Blue.
Who got the point on that one?
Who cares?
All right. Excellent.
Tiebreaker. I don't know.
If you could visit any place in the world that isn't this studio, where would it be?
Timbuktu.
Why?
That's an actual place.
It is an
I
actual
know.
place.
It's in Africa.
Morocco? No.
No, it's in like.
I hear it's in South America.
There's a place in Africa called
Googling
Timbuktu.
That's what I said.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the beach the other day with a friend, and she lived in Africa, and I said, Timbuktu's in Africa. And she's like, no, it's in South America. And I argued with her, and I swear it is off the coast of Africa.
No, it's in like, I actually think it's in Central. I remember doing an article for
like in Africa.
Yeah, like it's in the continent of Africa, and
It's in
it's in a country. It's in Mali.
Which is Northern Africa.
Yeah.
Oh,
there
wow.
you go. Yeah, it's an actual place. I remember reading it. I was like, wow, that's
Hey, at least I had the right continent, all right?
Yeah, there you go. since doing this PR work, my African geography has skyrocketed to levels I never thought it would get. I know where Nigeria is. I know where countries I didn't even know existed are.
That's awesome.
Favorite Disney movie growing up as a child?
You can't ask the questions. You're competing.
I just said I'll ask questions. Who cares?
Does that mean that I'm playing against him now?
Sure.
Lion King.
Good answer. I'm not even gonna say anything.
I'll say
that's correct. That's what I'm gonna say.
I will say The Rescuers Down Under because it has always been my favorite Disney movie as a child.
That's a really cool one too.
It's always a little different than everybody else's.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. This is one from Last Bullet. Actually, Last Bullet came up with a lot of these questions.
Yeah. Brendan, the guitarist from Last Bullet. He
came up with this really good question, and it is: if you're on death row and you're about to be executed, what is your last and final meal?
Peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Oh, good choice.
Well done.
PB&J.
Right on. Something I'm allergic to. Like, if I'm about to be executed, I'm like, haha, I'll beat you to it.
Yeah,
Actually,
really.
there's a Cyanide and Happiness comic about that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you see
Yeah,
that?
I see the one. That's exactly where I got
That
that
is
idea
awesome.
from.
That's cool.
Explosum.net for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about.
Funniest thing you will ever read. Probably the most offensive, too.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, pretty offensive stuff, but pretty funny stuff.
18 plus.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
definitely 18 plus. 18 plus with an open mind.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
You can't be a security guard at Centennial College and like Cyanide and Happiness.
Well, not the one that we had earlier today.
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Sorry again to all
Okay,
of our
here's a
people.
question that I've never had. What was your first thoughts when you first walked into the studio?
Wow, it's really small.
Good answer, because that's usually what everybody else says. Is it is a small studio, but it's a great studio.
This used to be I'm pretty sure this used to be a washroom. I'm not even making that up.
I'm told that this area here used to be a small auditorium, like not this but the whole section from here out.
What, auditorium for like 2 people?
Well, this used to be a high school, right?
Yeah.
So everything on that side of that hallway there would have been an auditorium, and on that side would have been the gym, I imagine.
And yeah, that's what this was, because this is where the original Degrassi was filmed. This studio, this building is where the original Degrassi High is filmed.
Oh, Fun Fact Tuesday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
random.
Fun Fact
It's like
Tuesday.
they film Being Erica here sometimes. You see them in here sometimes. But yeah, Degrassi High, the original one. This is it.
Just come by here more
Should
often.
just call this
hang
Degrassi. You know what we
around.
should do? We should have Degrassi High Radio.
Yeah.
And boom, you have all these people that are like, "Wow, that's so cool!" Yeah, as we broadcast from the real.
It's funny because
thing.
when I first pulled up and we were just like sitting here, I was like, "This looks like a high school."
Yeah,
It is.
You know, I
Yep.
went to Guelph for a year when I first got here. I saw that library and I thought, "You call that a library? That's like the cafeteria in the library at Guelph."
Yeah, I know the one at York. There's like 7 or 8
Yeah.
floors, and
Oh,
you're just
yeah.
like compared to my high school library, I was like, "Whoa." Get
They
lost
have-
in there.
Fit my entire town in this library. Holy shit.
Yeah, really. Where, if there's one place that we already asked that. Good question. Yeah, Timbuktu.
Timbuktu.
Yeah.
What's the answer for that one?
Okay.
Okay, so you're trapped on a desert island and you can't take a boat or a book on how to make a boat or anything related to leaving
the
your desert
island.
island. You're there for the rest of your life. What is the one thing you bring with you?
My iPod.
Oh, it doesn't even say his girlfriend.
Well, I assumed that she was already there with me.
That's
but
true.
No. Oh,
No.
sorry, baby. iPod.
Also, there's nowhere you can plug your iPod into it. You're going to get to listen to all your songs once, and then you're stuck for the rest of your life with a dead iPod.
I am.
Yeah, this
I
is
did-
like
I did not-
Castaway
I
101.
did not think that one through.
No.
I'm in the doghouse tonight.
Yeah. You're right there beside Toby. Excellent. I'm sorry.
No,
yeah,
it's-
we're sorry for being mean. On,
No,
on
it's
here.
funny. No, it's awesome.
We hold we hold nothing here.
Yeah.
We hold
No,
nothing
yeah,
back.
no,
The
that's,
whole bug
I
holds
didn't.
We'll throw anybody under the bus.
Yeah.
Not literally, but we will metaphorically.
I didn't think that one through. So you guys.
All right.
She's gonna kill me.
I'm sure you'll be fine. Just maybe you should drive home.
Oh, I think I will.
Find a flower shop on the way home. You'll be okay.
Yeah. All right. Here's a good question to make up for it. Then you're on a date with your girlfriend. Where are you taking her?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
She wants to go.
I think that's the answer.
I'm gonna take that answer. Ding ding ding.
I'd like to call.
Well, she is right here. I guess I could ask her. Where do you want to go, honey?
She doesn't even know.
That was a shy, I don't know. Please don't put me on the
Well,
radio.
it would
Just
be-
not McDonald's.
As long as it's not food, because she can't eat anything gluten intolerant, dairy intolerant. Like,
Wow.
So I have to like take her to like a really like fancy organic. I'll take her to Nate's, and she can choose whatever she wants, and I'll make it for her.
Wow.
Cool. That works.
All right, then. What was your favorite movie?
Ooh. All of the American Pies.
Those are good.
1, 2, and only 1, 2, and 3.
Right,
though.
I was gonna say there was
Yeah.
a line
And then they
where it
made,
got
like,
stupid.
27
when it,
spin-offs.
after
That was terrible.
American Wedding, it got terrible. American Reunion, Redemption, but anything that's Naked Mile or American Pie Presents was terrible, and I hated it.
Yeah, there was just like stop.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3, and then Reunion were the original cast.
Yeah, with like Eugene Levy and all those guys.
But even like Jason Biggs and Sean William Scott will forever be Stifler. You
Yeah.
cannot take that away.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
You following baseball at all?
I don't. I'm only a hockey fan and a moderately soccer fan. Moderate.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about hockey for you.
Yes.
What's your favorite hockey team? Even though I know this answer.
The Leafs.
Oh.
Now, who is your favorite player on the Leafs?
Sabrina can answer this one, but like everybody else, I could say either Kessel or Phaneuf.
Now, what is it about Kessel that you... Now, okay, before I ask this, did you like the trade for Phil Kessel with 2 first-round picks?
When we first got him, no, because he was not producing at what he should have been producing. So I don't think anybody in Toronto liked him. I think he was like public enemy number 1.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But this past season and the season before that, he really stepped up his game. And I mean, regardless of how bad the Leafs plunged last year, he still kind of stayed on top of his game, and I was really impressed with him. And I mean, now with JVR coming in, it should be.
You don't feel though that 2 first-round picks was a little much for Kessel? I would agree with 1. But I don't know about 2.
It might have been like a lot, but I mean, I'm hoping that it pays off in the long run. I mean, we did kind of lose out on Tyler Seguin.
Yeah, that's. I think that's what kills
Brampton
it,
boy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's a killer. Goes on and wins the cup.
But yeah, exactly. But I'm starting to grow onto Grabowski and Reimer a lot too. So.
Ever since his Reimer's concussion, I've always felt bad for the guy because he's just a second slower.
And I feel like I hope that this is his season to really blow up because he was amazing when he first kind of
he
stepped
was.
in. And
he was.
I was kind of really had high hopes for him, and then after his concussion, damn you, Gianta.
Yeah. Well,
Do you ever think Crosby will be back? And when I say back, I don't mean like playing. I mean like Crosby playing.
the Crosby we know and loved.
Will the Crosby show be back?
I really hope. I mean, I know there's so many Crosby haters out there, but I'm not going to lie. I'm a huge Crosby fan. I mean, I love Ovechkin. I think he's fun to watch. But when it comes to Crosby, I mean, he's an all-around great player. And
Absolutely.
I think he's a great guy. I mean, I think he can maybe mature a little bit. He is still young, though. So, I mean, and I mean mature like as in like his like traits and what he does.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've watched some interviews where he says some pretty childish things. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, you're a professional athlete. Like, you got to be professional no matter what. I mean, they lost to the Flyers this past playoffs. And he kicked somebody's glove, and they asked him why, and he's like, well, I just don't like him. And I'm like, this is not grade 9 ever. Like, again.
But then I feel when he does other interviews, they're so he was so media scripted, it's sickening. It's like, can you say something a little more with color? Like, I love Jeremy Roenick. I love his interviews. He give you the best interviews ever. I don't want Crosby to be like Roenick in interviews, but I'd like him to say something a little more. Maybe
I think Tortorella gives the best interviews.
That's true. I think he does really well.
The most colorful person, I think, in the in like the sport right now. So, but yeah, no, I agree. He's but I mean, it's really hard because he's such a young player, and because of how talented he is, he's under a lot of media scrutiny himself.
Absolutely.
So he kind of has to stick to a script in the sense of he can't really fly off the handle too much, whereas some of the other players can, like Sean Avery, who in my opinion sucks. And I'm glad he's done hockey apparently because he did not belong in the NHL. And I mean, like, he can say whatever he wants because nobody really expects much from him because he's Sean Avery. But I mean, when it comes to Crosby, he's a captain of a pretty big franchise in Pittsburgh, and he's trying to, like, he has to, and he's the leader of that team, and he's young, and he's considered like the best player in the world. Mm-hmm. And so I mean, he has to. I do feel for the kid because, and like I said, he's young and he can't really express himself how he wants to all the time because it just doesn't look good, and it's unfortunate.
Do you think the league will lock out?
Oh, I hope not. Everybody that I've spoken to says yes, and that kind of breaks my heart because they see, like, I follow hockey a lot, but I usually follow the season. Off season, I'm kind of drifted off, and I'm more, I watch the Euros and stuff, and I kind of go back, like go into soccer, and then I come back.
Absolutely.
But from what I've heard, it's not looking good. So I'm really hoping, because if there's no hockey this winter, I don't know how I'm gonna survive.
Music.
Yeah, music.
But I do agree. I don't I don't know what they'll do, but I will say this: if they go in a lockout, Bettman just killed any progress he made in America.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
absolutely. Like, you cannot have a lockout this year. Like, it's not even been 10 years since, like, how can you explain to people when before the first lockout, the only time there was a lockout was because of World War?
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know,
Yeah.
we're going to fight over money, and we had to stop the league because people were fighting to save the world, and we're now fighting over millions of dollars. And I don't even think it's the players' fault this time. I think it's Bettman's doing, because it's like, you know what? The owners are the ones giving these guys all the money.
Oh, I agree. And I mean, like, if you ask my opinion personally, I think they all make too much money, players and management.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
like, I understand it's a skill and it's a talent and it's entertaining, but I don't even think musicians should make as much as they do. The only thing I agree with musicians making money is the fact they're making it off of their music and selling of their. I feel like I guess the hockey players are selling their talent, and I mean it's kind of like acting.
How is anybody, you know, as much as I love Ovechkin or how is anybody worth $13 million a season? Like, look at baseball. It's like, how is a pitcher, like, you think of how much an hourly wage of a relieving pitcher makes, and you take it to his actual. So the guy makes $13 million a season. He's a closing pitcher. He pitches like once every 5 games, and he makes more money in an hour
For
than
an
I'll
inning,
ever,
yeah.
in an hour, and I'll ever make in my whole life. It's stupid.
And, I mean, it's crazy because I mean, if you put it into retrospective other sports, I mean, hockey players make very little. Because I mean, you got soccer players out there who are making like 130 million. Like, look at Ronaldo. I think he got sold for like something like upwards of like almost $300 million. Like, like that is, there was countries actually trying to buy him.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And bring them into like their league. Like, not even like the league themselves, countries. And that, to me, that's crazy.
I got to agree. Like, you look at Zach Parise. I would never give him and Suter that like $90 million for 10 years. Hey, you know what? Go play in Minnesota. Go suck with Danny Heatley. Just make sure he's not driving.
I think I do feel a little bit hypocritical because I mean, as an actor, that was a really terrible joke.
I know, but
it's
that
funny.
was really bad.
But it was true though.
It is.
Don't make sure that guy is
don't
not.
give him the keys.
That was
Even
a
if
while ago too. That had to be
03,
what?
03,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, he was still playing for Atlanta then too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But I do feel like a bit of a hypocrite because I mean, like, as an actor, like, I mean, they do make lots of money, and I think that
But it's a skill.
It is, and I mean, they deserve because I feel like they're putting in. And I don't know this. I don't know much about professional hockey players as I do much as about acting, but they're putting in a lot of hours. And I mean, it's a lot of like mental exhaustion that actors go through, and people don't understand that.
I feel like too, as an actor, like, you know, you go through hockey and then you get to junior hockey, and you know your education is going to be free because you're getting homeschooled if you're signed in the OHL. If you're getting a scholarship, you're going to the United States, you're getting an education. If you get out of acting school and you don't have a gig, you got to do everything for free.
Yep.
And I mean, these guys, when they get to that level, even for hockey players, when they get to that certain level, or for most athletes, I can't really speak for baseball, but I'm sure it's relatively similar. You're getting stuff paid for. You know, you're getting it for free because somebody's investing their money and praying that you're going to go far. Or, you know, there's a vested interest, like, you know, we want you in the junior team because the junior team's going to sell tickets and we're going to fill the stadium, we're going to make money. And that, you don't see that with acting. There's so much that an actress or an actor has to do. I mean, if you ever read the biography on James Dean, man, that guy had to, like, I mean, he only got famous probably most likely because of his death, but he was a talented guy, but he did everything. He was literally the definition of a starving actor.
Mm-hmm. And it's terrible because, like, people expect you to work for free.
And,
and I mean,
you almost have to.
I mean, I like every gig that I've auditioned for so far in my very short acting career that I've had. Hopefully, we get longer. Everything's just been free, and it's because you don't have any credibility. Nobody, you know, you haven't been in anything that's of major notice, and so they're not going to want to pay you because, like, who are you?
Exactly.
And I mean, I agree, but I don't because it's a lot of work, and acting is. Like,
it's a skill.
It's a lot harder than people think. Like, I read a comment on a YouTube video of Michael Richards, who in my opinion is one of the greatest comedic actors to ever like grace TV, and he plays Kramer on Seinfeld, and he's awesome. And somebody wrote, how can these people get paid so much money to just play pretend and play dress up? And to me, that just really offended me because there's so much more work. I mean, when you think about who you are as a person and trying to find yourself as a person, that's hard. A lot of people never do that. Now, as an actor, you have to know who you are as a person, and I have to know who you are as a person because I have to become you. And I mean, there's actors out there who act and they don't do that and they can't and they're not very good. But I mean, you get somebody out there like Leonardo DiCaprio, who is my favorite actor of all time. He, like, it's not like, for example, Daniel Radcliffe, where I just watched a movie with him a little while ago, and all I could think about was Harry Potter. Harry Potter. And then, you know, I watch any movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, I don't think back to like, oh, you played, you know, Jack in Titanic. I believe his character every single time.
It's like De Niro's the same way.
Yeah, like
the guy becomes a cab driver, right?
Yeah, like you just, like, no matter who he is, you automatically just believe it. You don't even think, oh my God, this is not who he is. Like, and it's just, for some actors it sucks because, I mean, you've been invested in a character for so long that you just become them. And like, such as Harry Potter. Like, I'm not saying he's a bad actor, he's a great actor, but I mean, it was just unfortunate that, you know, Harry Potter was awesome, but I mean, just with like Leonardo DiCaprio, like I was saying, he just, like, everything he does, I'm invested into his character at that time. And like, I mean, Inception's one of my favorite movies. I actually wrote a piece on it last year for school on surrealist theater and Inception. I got an A+ on it. So
very cool. Now, in terms of writing, who would your favorite novelist or author be?
Oh, that's an easy one. J.R.R. Tolkien, the author of The Lord of the Rings. He is my inspiration to everything. He's awesome.
And why would you say, what is it about him that makes him so awesome?
I think it's his, and now it's kind of funny because what I would say is my all-time like favorite thing about him is what other people say is why they hate him, and it's his ability to describe a field and take 5 pages to do it. That's a talent. And like, as somebody who is like, people can always sit there and go it's boring, which is fine, but as somebody who does write, especially like fiction, it is really hard to be descriptive because you start and you just, there's not much more that you can think to say. I mean, he created his own language with a dictionary and a thesaurus and like with enunciations and like it was crazy. And for somebody to actually do that fully from A to Z, that's more than just
and without the internet.
Exactly. This was back in like 1954, so like that's insanity. Like that is pure genius there. That's not even just talent, that's genius. And to me, he's always just been, I mean, I fell in love with Lord of the Rings when I was in grade 6. I started grade 5 actually was when I started reading them, and I fell in love with them, and I just kind of always use them as my inspiration. I'm a big fan of like the I call it like medieval fiction or fantasy, but that's just my like style and what I love to read, and he just kind of really brought that to life for me. So
final question before we're going to get to you doing a live performance here on the show, but final question is, just had it on the top of my tongue, so I'm probably going to ask you something else really quickly and then get to that.
Yeah.
One place that you'd love to perform at?
That's a tough one. Like, do you mean one place is in venue or one place is in like?
You can say a country, a venue. Some people have come on here and said they've given 2 answers: a local sort of venue, and then like a broader sort of like, you know, ultimate dream is to play at like, you know, the O2 Stadium in England or whatever.
Yeah, like honestly, like I would say ACC, but not really, because like I don't really want, and I might end up kicking myself in the ass for saying this, but I don't really want that kind of. I always grew up listening to people like Silverstein and A Day to Remember and these bands who are big and people know who they are, but they don't play at the ACC, or they play things like Massey, or not even Massey Hall. They play things like the Government, or they call it the Cool House when their show's going on, and they play like the Harbourfront or Molson Amphitheater. Like, in my opinion, like playing at those places locally would be my dream. I mean, I got to play at the Opera House. My first show ever in my band, we played at the Opera House. So that was kind of cool. I mean, we got a kind of a big start there. And then internationally, I would love to play in England. I want to live there. I am English, actually, and my background. And I do want to live there. And I mean, just to be able to play there, I think would be really cool. Just even if it was just in a pub, just to say that I got to play like in a grungy, like indie English pub. Like, that's just kind of what I really want to do.
Final question is, where do you see yourself in years' time, and then what's your goal sort of 5 years down the road?
Hopefully acting. But I mean, my scholarly goal is I want to go for my PhD, like eventually in theater studies and ancient history.
Wow.
And I want to be a professor. Like, I mean, that's my ultimate goal when I get older, and I want to just stay in school. I love studying, and people who are always like, I hate school, and I'm always just like, I love it. And but I mean, music and theater-wise, I mean, I would just love to be acting and playing music just on the side. I mean, I'm not looking. I mean, if I ever got a break in music, I mean, of course I'd take it. But I'm not really looking for, like, I'm not, giving all of my assets to this, finding this break. Like, there's some people who literally put everything into finding this. I'm kind of like, it's a hobby that I enjoy, and theater's my main priority. And if something with music comes along, I would love to be able to do that. And then, these people like Justin Timberlake, who went from playing music to acting, like that kind of stuff I would love to do. But yeah, like I just really want to, and I mean, my goal in life with theater especially is I want to open my own acting academy, and I'd name it after Laura Blackwood, the L Blackwood Acting Academy. And she was my drama teacher throughout all of high school, from grade 9 to grade 13. She also knew me when I was a baby. She's actually a family friend, which I didn't even know until grade 9. And if it wasn't for her, I would never have like really found myself. She kind of sat me down one day and said, you know what, Justin, like, I was into like the whole emo and scene and trying to be like everybody else. And she sat me down and said, this isn't you, and you need to stop, and you need to find yourself and be you. And I kind of took it to heart, and I went and I kind of found myself, and I just started doing my own thing. And if it wasn't for her, I never would have found my love for drama, because I used to think drama was a bird course when I started it, and then I kind of fell in love with it, and then that's where I am now. So, and she really pushed me to do a lot of my, a lot of what I'm doing now, and helped me like get ready for my audition and stuff. So she was fantastic. So.